At the start of this year, I was ordered to discontinue my duties in Wolverhampton. These had related mainly to the opening of a new hospital facility at the local airbase, but instead, I was to travel 300 miles north to this place. Until this time, I had believed that Cosford was the most barren and unimaginative place that the RAF could ever select to build an airfield. It turns out I was quite wrong, with Drem proving a more dismal place in each and every regard. The commanding officer here, Alexander, is even more of a challenge than the ground itself. He's a depressing and humorless individual, overly ambitious, with an inability to listen to much beyond what he thinks will advance him up through the ranks. However, the sadness I felt at being uprooted from my family and deposited here in eastern Scotland has been eclipsed by the arrival of my new assignment, an opportunity that surely no other medical man has been offered in history. On the second morning of my new posting, I was escorted to the mortuary and ordered to conduct a forensic post-mortem on a body being stored there, the remains of a truly remarkable patient. Although outwardly humanoid in appearance, and measuring roughly the same dimensions as an adult male, its internal makeup was unlike anything I have ever encountered. Organs and mechanisms that bear little semblance to what I would understand as a circulatory or a respiratory system. The deceased appeared to survive by inhaling and processing an unknown vapour, which was not oxygen. But with no trace of this substance remaining available, I am unable to speculate on this further. Its sensory organs were severely underdeveloped. Ears and eyes that seemed wholly unrequired to process even the most basic of information. Along with the patient's digestive and nasal tracts, it would seem that none of the organs are needed for any of the bodily functions which it was equipped, presumably because the operating mechanism it now wore serviced all of these requirements. I'm unable to confirm if the creature was born this way. Perhaps it is underdeveloped, or maybe the methods it utilised to pilot its craft have somehow regressed these organs and base functions. Of this suit, I can offer only conjecture and hypothesis. What little I have managed to glean has either come from the poor soul that now finds himself trapped inside it, or the limited tests that have been carried out by the Colonel and his men. The suit appears capable of producing any substance needed for the sustainment of the wearer, to the point where the wearer requires no other material input in order for them to remain alive. The suit is able to somehow neutralise the needs to eat, to sleep, to defecate. It bonds with its owner at a molecular level, fulfilling its every need. Whilst some may consider this a boon, this aggressive safeguarding has inflicted hell on Pilot Officer Brudenell. Mentally, I have assessed him as being fully unfit to continue with these tests. He is exhausted, and is beginning to display signs of severe mental fatigue. Most worryingly of all, he claims that those associated with the origins of this suit are trying to contact him, in an effort to get him to reveal his location. He states he hears voices, at all hours of the day, reassuring him that they are searching for him. He believes these to be associates of the suit's previous owner, that the deceased subject may have been some form of explorer or scout for an unknown power. It appears that only Brudenell can hear these voices, as when he has identified times to me that they are speaking, no other person present has detected them. I've attempted to warn Alexander these messages may form some sort of threat, and I was roundly dismissed. It seems the Colonel is more interested in my assessment of Brudenell's mental capacity than any apparent security risk. When I was unable to remove any part of the suit from the pilot officer by the use of surgical tools, I was then relegated to watching the efforts of the guards. They have employed industrial tools, flame, and even acids in an effort to part this strange technology from the wearer. Each and every attempt has proven unsuccessful, only serving to further harm the pilot officer's deteriorating mental condition. Having eventually succeeded in willing Brudenell to utilise the HENGIS craft in combat, a further duty I have now inherited is conducting autopsies on the subjects which the craft's weapon systems have been tested upon. Initially these consisted of animals and livestock, an area somewhat outside my own expertise. But lately, Lately, these have developed into the dissection of human bodies. The good colonel assures me that the object has only been tested on corpses which are obtained from the local mortuary and the local hospital. This is a fact I know to be patently untrue. The tortured looks on the faces of the dead and the horrific injuries inflicted on them, these are indicative of the subjects being alive at the point of death. I confess I do not know their backgrounds, be they prisoners of war, be they prisoners from our own criminal justice system. The only comfort I take is that the damage inflicted on them by the craft's weapons, death should have been instantaneous. I've resolved I must do something to help young Brudenell, and also to ensure that Alexander's masters are fully aware of his actions and that what he is doing is appropriately sanctioned. To that end, I've arranged for a message to be passed to a Major Elliot, an officer who recently inspected the base. I'm prepared to accept whatever his views are on the subject and to do what he will with the information I have provided for him. My hope is that perhaps in doing so, I may be finally able to come to terms with the role that I've played in these dark proceedings.